Hey, we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to align the laser on a LSR platform. LSR2 would work. I think the Aurora probably would work as well, using a couple of tools, but no scope. This video is going to be too long for what it is. So if you think you know what I'm about and what I'm going to say, basically we're just incrementing the alignment on vertically and sweeping horizontally. So you can skip ahead and get the details. But if you're not quite sure yet, follow along. Before we get into the details, let's get a couple of things off the bat. If you need this tutorial, you know what you did. You basically tried to align the laser, try to make small modification to basically increase your CV, maybe something like that, and somehow lost the intersect between the laser, the flow cell, and the pinhole, and you don't have a signal anymore, and so you can't figure out how to get back to where you were. So what kind of person would need this tutorial? Well, bad people, but also people who do not have a service contract. If you do have a service contract, you already had one of your eyes gouged in order to pay for it. Don't risk the second one with this method. Just let the service engineer come in and then fix that. If you don't have a scope, again, I never had a scope, so I just don't have anything to say about them. I don't know how they work, and I'm assuming it would be much faster to use a scope. I don't know how to use them. But below in the YouTube description box, we'll have a link to the MSKCC core facility with Mr. Ree Gardner and his fellow Flowstometris gang, and they have a some information about how to get a scope and build the 3D printing device that will basically hold the scope in place. So if that's a route you want to follow, just go there. And you might have a somewhat of a, let's put it this way: if you are very concerned about the safety, you really don't like having looking at lasers flying around, this is not something you want to do. Again, if you if you try to align the laser already, we already know you're not that person. But if you're not comfortable with lasers, open laser light, just like don't do this. So on that note, it's my liability slide. I'm going to say this is not. I don't feel this is particularly dangerous method I'm going to discuss. But you do have policies for laser safety in your institutions. You do have safety gear. Use them as best as possible. Talk to your people, and if it turns out you can't really do this, then don't do this. No, like you're gonna save a few $1,000 for a visit from a service engineer. Your eye is worth way more than that, so just don't play safe, I guess. But like we say in my country, si c'est trop facile, c'est pas le fun. So let's move on along and discuss what we're going to do here. So we're going to need a couple of things. The QC beads, we're going to use the CST beads because we're playing with an Aurora, but with the Fortessa. But anything that's bright enough will do work. Will do well. Two keys, two Allen keys to play with the mirror that brings the laser to the flow cell. A bunch of cardboard bits just so that we can block the laser light coming from the secondary lasers, the ones we're not going to be playing with, just to clean up what we're going to see on the flow cell. If you have the coherent software and it actually works on your instrument, just use that instead. It's much cleaner. And then I'm going to use my camera on my iPhone to take pictures of the flow cell because that works pretty well. So what we're going to do, so what's there to align first? So as you know, Flowstometry, we shoot cells as they cross the laser beam. Light gets scattered in all possible direction, and essentially we want the laser to hit the cell, and that interaction has to be at the proper level so that the emitted light will enter this pinhole, and through this optical fiber, the signals are sent to the detector array allocated to this particular laser. So alignment is essentially, there's two things to look at on this system. You're going to do the vertical alignment to align the signal to hit the pinhole, and horizontal alignment will be to make sure the laser hits our sample core. The other thing I would say is we're assuming that most of the other mirrors in the system are fine, are working properly, are properly aligned. Which means that if you try to change your voltage, you try to get the better CVs by messing around with your mirrors, I would urge you just to play with the mirror just the next to the laser beam, like the very first one that the laser beam will hit. Um, and try not to play with the other ones, because at some point, if you try to mess, like if you mess up the alignment on all of these different mirrors, I just have no idea how you get back to a proper way of looking at the data. So at that point, the service engineer will come in. So essentially, just be very careful about the way you play with the mirrors. Just play with the one where you try to get your CV up. Try to make small adjustment, something that you never lose the signal. And if you do, like, try to keep track of what you're doing. So if you lose the signal, something goes bad, you can actually move back and step back and get to a situation where things looks better. All right. So this is the mirror we're going to play with. There's 3 screws in the back. It does this L, and we're going to play with the 2 extremities. We're going to leave the one at the corner. We're not going to touch it just yet. This is so basically the upper one will move the laser beam up and down, and so that's going to be our vertical alignment. The other one will move the beam laterally, so that's horizontal alignment. And then the third one kind of does both at the same time, I guess. So that I'm going to use when I fine tune the alignment and try to get best possible CV. So at this point, we're just like trying to figure out where's the intersect. So we're not even close to getting a signal. So we're not worrying about CVs just yet. So again, the strategy is going to be we're going to move the laser beam. We don't know where the intersect is. So we're going to move the laser beam at the lowest point in front of our pinholes, and then sweep horizontally. And so we're going to move this higher screw over here using this X key all the way to the bottom, and then we start sweeping using the this key with the red stuff on the red paint on it. We're going to move the entire size of your sample core, and until we see some signal pop up on your software. And if we don't see anything, you move the laser beam a little bit up and do the sweep the other side, and then a little bit up side until you actually hit something. Until you actually hit your intersect. So if you put your camera in front of your flow cell, it's going to look something like this. It's kind of amazing where camera picture the phone cameras have moved through. So we have the laser beam over here. That's a little blue line, and then the circle in the background is essentially the space you're going to need to look into. Where you essentially find your pinholes. The question is, how do you know when you reach the edge of your of the sample core or the flow cell, I guess? It's basically when you get something like this over here in the video, where the light just start spitting all over the place and gets scattered. So that's where you hit the edge, and at that point you can move back and move the other way to sweep the sample core. All right. Move that again just for fun. Now, a couple of things we're going to do on the software. First, I'm going to set my event rate just so that we have enough events, or few enough events, so that if I can see a movement of data, I'll be able to spot it. 1,000 is actually a bit high. 500 might be enough, but like this worked for me. We're also going to threshold on a detector that I'm using to identify the signal. So in this case, we're looking at the blue laser, so I want to threshold on FITSI. The value for threshold 5,000 is a bit high, but that's fine, because the other thing I'm going to do is go to the FITSI detector and set my voltage fairly high, so that the second I hit anywhere near my intersection point, something will pop up. So the voltage will be pretty high, but low enough so that my threshold rate should be 0 essentially. And so when I hit the intersect, every threshold rate, every event that will pop up will be coming from my beats, and not just like general noise, background noise that gets generated if your voltage is too high. So you're going to proceed like that. So again, move the laser up a little bit, sweep, and then if you don't see anything, move it up again, sweep again, the other side, up, sweep again, the other side. It's going to take a bit of time. Here we're at 17 minutes into this alignment process. And eventually you're going to start seeing a bunch of dots showing up on the graph any second now. There you go. So at this point, you know you've hit your uh, your intersect. Then you can start messing with the key, get the better signal. At that point, if you get to the upper end of the scale, just lower your voltage. And at that point, you then can start playing with all three screws on the mirror. Basically, one after the other, you try to get the best possible signal out of one screw. Once you're happy, you can move to the second one, try to find the best signal there, then move to the third one, and then you kind of rotate until you find the absolute best CV you can possibly find. And then you can move from there, run your CST and see if everything is on par. And there you go. Doing this, you kind of save yourself a visit from the service engineer. You don't have to buy a scope. I don't know. It's a win. That's about it. I'll talk to you later.